Hi, I'm Stephanie Soulis, and I am the CEO and president of Little Mushroom Catering and Dining Lounge in Cambridge, Ontario. Sure. I started Little Mushroom in 2010 as a natural extension to what I loved to do in life. I had worked a bunch of other jobs and kept going back to restaurants, to catering. I love making people happy with food. So Little Mushroom started as a catering company. We still are very much a full service event catering company, but we also have a dining lounge attached to our headquarters that is kind of like a wine bar, but we also do brunch and high tea on Sundays. So the idea behind the name Little Mushroom actually came to me in a dream. It was. I hate mushrooms. We'll put it out there. But it's been really great for marketing because people remember me as the mushroom company that hates mushrooms. So we actually use very little mushroom in any of our catering. So that works well with the name as well. We do definitely have things like, risotto stuffed mushroom caps as one of our options. But we often get asked at trade shows if everything that we make has mushrooms in it. And it absolutely does not, because then I wouldn't eat what we make. Prior to opening Little Mushroom, I was both running a children's camp that taught kids how to cook. It's called Summer Chef School. I was a program coordinator, and through that, I actually got a really amazing culinary education because every week was a little bit different. We had local chefs come in and teach the kids. We were doing foods from around the world. So if you have a look at our menus at Little Mushroom, it's very much fusion. We bring in from all different cultures. So Summer Chef School was sort of my summer gig. And then during the year, I was working at a restaurant that no longer exists called Art Bar. And it was in the center in the square. And we catered to a lot of like the symphony and arts crowd. And so when I knew that Art Bar was going to be closing its doors, unfortunately, I took all of those contacts that I had and was able to kind of hit the ground running with a catering company. And so our very first gig was on September 17th, I believe. My last day working for someone else was September 5th. But we did an art gallery opening as our very first gig. So it's a pretty good first gig to have. I have a team right now of about 43. Last year we had, we got up to 59 staff because of all of the offsite kitchens that we were running. We've really focused back on full service event catering again this year, which keeps me sane. My role now in the company is really business development, strategy. I hop in when people call in sick. I can do pretty much every job in the company except for baking. I am a horrible cake decorator, but I have fantastic staff who work for me, and some of which who have been with me for almost a decade now. And so I'm not often in the kitchen unless I really want to be. As Little Mushroom has grown, it's been really important to me to keep us centered. And how we do that is through a model of sustainability. So once upon a time, I went to university to become a history and geography teacher. I am not a history or geography teacher, but I am married to a history teacher. So I really understand my partner's job very well. But in studying history, we learned the sustainability model around the triple bottom line. And so through Little Mushroom, we really try to focus on a balanced approach to people, planet, and profit. Obviously, we're a business first. Profit has to be there in order for us to be able to do things to take care of our planet and take care of our people. But very much our focus in how we're different, our differentiating factor, if you will, is that our people are so important to us, and we do a lot of things in the community as well. So not just the people who work for us, but our clients and the community, the Waterloo Region community, but then also the planet. So we try to be the most environmentally sustainable catering company in the region. Stewardship has always been really important to me. We're blessed in this region with fantastic farmers. We have a lot. We're the food basket of Ontario. If you go down to Norfolk, there it's the Ontario's garden area, and so all around here we have wonderful land that we're able to grow fantastic food on, and that food tastes better than stuff that's been sitting on a truck for 3 days coming from Argentina. That doesn't mean we don't use lemons and limes. Doesn't mean that we don't have asparagus occasionally on the menu when it's off season, or strawberries, for example. Avocados. I love my guacamole. We do use some of that, but we're actually part of a program called Feast On. We have our Feast On certification through the Ontario Culinary Alliance. And so we submit our receipts for all of the food that we purchase, all of the alcohol that we purchase. We submit our receipts every year to the Culinary Tourism Alliance program to keep up our Feast On certification. So we're at about 50% of the ingredients that we use are locally sourced, like locally made, locally farmed, locally grown. And I think we're at about 90% of the alcohol that we bring in and sell is from Ontario. I'm a bit of a recognition junkie. So for example, I'm a female founder with the Greater KW Chamber of Commerce right now, the KW Chamber of Commerce. We were the small business of the year for 10 to 50 employees. I think that was 2019. Twice now we've won the Service Excellence Award in Hospitality and Tourism, once back in 2014 when we were a very new company, and I think I only had 7 staff at that point. And then again in 2021 during the pandemic. So we're very proud of those. The Cambridge Chamber of Commerce has also awarded us some things. So I was a young entrepreneur there a few years ago. I'm a little bit older now, but we've also won a sustainability award through them and the Small Business Award as well. One of our greatest achievements is Food Awards Ontario awarded us the #1 caterer in Ontario in 2019. We were on quite a roll that year. Fantastic revenues, great profit. I was at the point where I was traveling most of the year because I didn't need to be there to make my business run. And then COVID hit and 2020 kind of put us back a little bit. So we're back on the road to recovery, and things are going very well now again. But that was a hiccup for sure after a really fantastic year. We've been on a growth trajectory basically since day one. Our first few years in business, we were doubling in size every year, growing exponentially. I think it was 2012, I bought a cookie company that was kind of complementary to our business. But growth, lots of growing pains when you are growing, which includes building out new kitchens. So we're actually on kitchen number 6. We've had to move over the last 13 years, now 6 times. But we are hopefully in our forever home. Maybe. My staff think that we're in our forever home. So if they're watching this, that might not be, the truth of the matter, because I have plans. But back in beginning of 2020, we were building out our new kitchen space. So we took 3 units of warehouse space, and I was able to work with an architect to manage the flow of that space. But with it came, big dollar signs, and we're in about 7,200 square feet of mostly kitchen space, but also our dining lounge and our offices. It's been great because we do have that, if you're in the food industry, we have that flow of raw to cooked. We have the flow of, kind of where things begin and where things end. And it's really great for all of our staff. But we moved in February 20th, 2020. And on March 14th of 2020, I had to lay off all but 4 of my staff. Because we weren't sure how long it was going to take. Hopefully, we were hopeful that it was only going to be a couple months. And actually, in June, I brought back most of my staff. At that point, though, some of them had already decided to just leave the industry completely. Some went into the trades. I had some who went into long-term care facilities to cook there because it was guaranteed. And yeah, it was a really tough time, and we really had to rebuild our team over the last couple of years because a lot of our long-term staff didn't make it through all of the shutdowns. One big challenge that we had over the past year was we had started a partnership. So I'll say one of our COVID pivots was we became kitchen mercenaries, basically. So while we had the catering side of things, we had our dining lounge, we also ran restaurant kitchens for 7 other locations. And in doing that, that meant that I had to have 7 managers at each of those locations. And it was a really big struggle to try and manage those locations because, some of them, there was a wine bar in Uptown Waterloo. We have a fantastic relationship with them still. But there, if the chef called in sick, I had 4 other people who were trained to do that job, but they were busy. They were already busy doing other positions in the company. So trying to fill in those gaps, I was often the one who had to go and fill in, or our director of offsite food services had to go, and instead of being the manager of the managers, she was having to go and cook or clean or whatever it might be. But with that process, we had entered a partnership that ended up dissolving because our partner decided to close their space without any warning. And so Christmas Eve, we were open there, closed on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. My staff went to go into the venue on December 27th, and the code had been changed and the lock had been changed, and we no longer had a business there. And it meant that over Christmas holidays, I had to let 5 of my staff go because I didn't have a job for them, and we were completely blindsided. And so I would always, even with a contract in place, even with a partnership that you think is good, trying to protect against things that could happen when you do go into partnerships with other businesses. That was definitely a learning curve for me. I've often been called a queen of networking. I love people. I love to be out at events. It's my happy place. I think that Ian McLean once pegged me as one of the most involved people in the KW Chamber of Commerce. There's others who will rival me, but I'm pretty involved. And through the Chambers of Commerce, through through community involvement, one big thing that I do to help grow my business that I'm really forward thinking is that I'm part of the Business Education Partnership. So I go and speak to high school students about the food industry, food service industry, catering, restaurants, and different jobs that are different things that could be careers that are all involved around the food service industry. And so I'm thinking long term there. I've already put my name in their heads. So when they go out looking for jobs, they know that they can come and see me. But also when it comes to a point where they want to get married, or they're working in a corporate job for a tech company or something, and they'll go, oh yeah, we should use Little Mushroom. So I'm planting those seeds early there. Actually, when I speak with the business education partnership and I go into these, careers classes or business classes, I often will have the students help define success. And what it always comes down to is happiness. Are you happy in your job? I don't want any of my staff coming into work and hating their days. That's absolutely not what we want. So, yeah, success to me it's not about money necessarily. It's about comfort and security, but ultimately, it's about being happy and joyful in your work. Yeah, going back to the triple bottom line part of our business, it really comes down to, how do we work together as a team? How do we have the best food integrity, the best ethical integrity? How are we looking after everyone who's involved in the process? So, are we paying our farmers a fair amount for our ingredients? Are we charging a fair amount to our clients? Where can we help each other out, and how can we help our venues get more events happening there? How can we, partner with people, collaborate, make the whole community a better place? So I got to cheat a little bit, I'd say, when it comes to human resources. About a year and a half ago, I hired my sister. I stole her away from another job, and brought my older sister onto our team, and she is an HR guru. The things that she has done for our team to help us grow and really make everyone feel like they're coming into a warm, welcoming place. One of the things that we've implemented in the last year and a half since she's been with us, we also have a fantastic HR assistant who is doing her degree, her diploma, I think, at Humber College right now. So she's just with us part-time, but during the summer we had her full-time as a co-op student. And the two of them, with some guidance from me, have been able to put together what we like to call our Mush Love Gratitude and Gravy program. And so anything that's kind of a perk, you call it gravy, right? It's like all that in a bag of chips. So our gravy, are some of our perks that we have for our staff that are often unheard of in the food service industry. So one of the things that we do is we are a living wage employer. So we're certified through the Ontario Living Wage Network, which means that all of our staff, kind of have a base salary. They get tips on top of that. We do a controlled tip pooling. So everyone from our dishwasher to our baker gets to see some of that tip money, even though they're not out at the events themselves. And so between being a living wage employer, we're also part of the Better Way Alliance of Ethical Employers, which is a Canadian-wide association, where we do paid sick days. We have flexible work hours where we actually work with each of our staff individually to try and create a shift setup for them so that they're helping the needs of the business when we need them to work, but at the same time, they're able to achieve work-life balance. So those are just a couple of the ways that we attract staff, keep staff very happy. Some of the other things, I work in the food service industry. We keep people well fed. So whether it is, things that we have overproduced, or whether it's, leftovers that haven't been put out at an event, we always encourage our staff to take food home with them. During the pandemic, we had a grocery service that we were doing for the community, and my staff, because I wasn't able to keep some of them, they had access to that grocery and the prepared meals services that we were doing at either a free or reduced cost, just so that we could try and take care of them in a time that we didn't have the work for them. There's more. I could keep going with the work perks, but yeah. Waterloo Region really has that small town feel while having big city amenities. It's very split up. You know, if you go to some place like London, Ontario, you've got that main core downtown. Here we have like 6 downtowns, 7 or 8 if you count Elmira and St. Jacobs, which I love Elmira and St. Jacobs, don't get me wrong. Their downtowns just are, you know, that's that much smaller. But definitely like within Waterloo region, you get to know companies, you get to know people. There's a good sense of collaboration that you wouldn't have in a big city like Toronto. But at the same time, we have access to everything that we need here. My goal with Little Mushroom is to flip the script on the food service industry. Generally speaking, you know, and I worked in restaurants for years. It's the restaurant industry is known for long hours, bad pay, sexual harassment, discrimination, you name it. Like anything bad in the world, it's happened in a restaurant, at least behind the scenes. I went through my own struggles with that, being a woman in the restaurant industry, where, you know, I was afraid to go into a walk-in fridge at work because sometimes one of my coworker men would follow me so that they could touch me inappropriately. Or, you know, there's so many stories out there, and anyone who has worked in a restaurant probably has a dozen of them. And so I wanted to build a business where women felt safe, where people from the LGBTQ plus community felt safe, where people of different races, different religions, different sexual orientations. I want to be a safe space for those people to work and thrive. If you're at that point in your life where you want to start a business, make sure that you know yourself, make sure that you know your values, and in everything that you do with whatever business it might be, make sure that your values shine through what you do. We have at Little Mushroom Catering really grown, pivoted. I hate that word. We all do. You know, we like to use the word swivel, like a swivel chair. We've swiveled thanks to, you know, the pandemic and other things that have changed in our industry. One of the things that I really want to make sure that we're doing as we go forward is refocusing. I think is the best. The sort of our 3 to 5 year plan is to refocus on the full service event catering side of things. It's what we do best. It's our kind of our sweet spot, as opposed to, you know, we turn down contracts all the time for things like being a cafeteria within a business, or doing, you know, we're not a takeout restaurant. That's not what we do. We don't want to be on Skip the Dishes or DoorDash or anything like that. We don't want to be doing lunches for 3 people at a law firm, right? That's not what we do. But if you have 40 people in your business and you want us to come in with a hot lunch buffet, we'll do that. If you want us to do a banquet, an awards banquet, if you want us to do a Christmas party, if you want us to do a wedding, that's really where we shine, because we're not just a product, we're a product and a service. And so refocusing on that, you know, we've taken out all of those offsite food service things that we were doing. We're not kitchen mercenaries anymore. You know, we don't do freezer meals anymore that we were doing through COVID. We don't do grocery delivery. There's a lot of things that we tried doing and they kept us open and afloat during COVID, but they're not who we are. So really becoming laser focused on the full service event catering and doing that for people who care about who they work with. Because our values are so strong within our business, we want clients who are looking for businesses for a catering company that is environmentally friendly. You know, we're not using definitely not using styrofoam, but, you know, we're also making sure that we have a full composting program. We have a recycling program. We're we're part of the Impact Network with Sustainable Waterloo Region, and we're looking at becoming B Corp certified. And so that's my big goal for 2024, is that we get our B Corp certification. So B Corp certification is all about being a business for good. It's everything to do with governance, how we run our business, who we're accountable to, how we're being environmentally friendly, how we're being socially responsible. All of those pieces come into play and are judged and scored accordingly. And if we reach a certain point, then we get that B Corp certification. And for me, that's showing our clients and our staff and our community that we are a business for good, and that we're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk. We're going to keep doing what we do best. So that full service event catering, being innovative, being creative with what we do, making sure that we're doing the best things that we can for our people, for the planet. But then also that profit piece, we're in business, comes back to that. We're looking at efficiencies. How can we be more efficient? How can we cut costs without cutting the quality and the integrity of our product and our service? I think our menu right now has over 700 items. So there is a lot of choice there. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming, but that's because we cater for corporate, we cater for weddings, we cater, hot lunches, cold lunches, buffets, plated. We do the fancy plated meals as well if you're looking for like a 6-course tasting menu. So our menus are extensive and there's a lot happening there. My specialty, and what I often will hop in the kitchen to do, I love cooking Indian food. So I make fantastic butter chicken, saag paneer. They always pull me in to make the samosas, chutneys. We have amazing chutneys that we've been making the same recipes for 12 years now. And so that's really where I shine. That and soup. So whether it's a mulligatawny soup or a creamy harvest soup, I love making soups. They make people feel at home. They make it's that comfort food, and they can be vegan. They can be gluten free. They can hit all of those dietary restrictions that are becoming more and more an issue in our society because of the foods that we have been eating are. A lot of them are destroying our bodies. So things like celiac disease, gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance, all of those things are becoming more and more front and center in as far as dietary restrictions. So we want to make sure that we're catering to everyone in the community. We are all over social media. I have a fantastic marketing associate who has worked for me for 2 years now. Donovan's been with us. So you can find us on Instagram. You can find me personally on Instagram or Twitter as at Catering Fungi. But otherwise, you can follow Little Mushroom Catering or Little Mushroom Dining Lounge. Please follow us both places. We love it. They're very different accounts. We're also on Facebook. We haven't gotten into TikTok, but that may come. So I just have to get better at dance moves.